Attention passengers. We sincerely apologize for any.
Memento Mori. Remember, you will die. From the very beginning and through the entirety of the game, the phrase Memento Mori comes up very often, and you will constantly be reminded of the theme of the game, which is death. The influence of the phrase can be seen through the entirety of the game in many shapes and forms, as the game uses a lot of different references to in the game. For example, the color blue is associated with death and sadness, the depiction of death in every major character's storyline, as well as ultimately the ending of the game. This is Core with the Mina channel, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite games of all time, Persona 3. If you haven't already finished the game, I do encourage you to not click away from this video, because I will be talking about some pretty major themes that are tied into the storyline, and as well as storylines of the different characters, so there will be some spoilers in here, so the viewer discretion is advised in that regard. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. So what is Memento Mori? It is said a lot in the game. For example, it is a phrase that is in the gun that is used for them to be able to summon their persona, and it is something that does tie into a lot of different roots of the game itself. So Memento Mori is a way of life, a philosophy made by Greek. The Greek philosophy of Memento Mori basically ties into literally being, remember that you will die. Remember that there is an ending to life. Remember that there is consequences to the actions. Remember that there is a kind of tied of like being able to enjoy life to the fullest extent, because there is an ending to it, not only for yourself but also for the people around you. It has a lot of values tied to it, or a lot of values into tying to be the better person you can be, because there's only one life, and something that you want to put into major representation of the game. There's a lot of aspects of death in the game, of course. As any character, like I mentioned before, every major character in the game has a lot of ties into death. Main protagonist's parents are dead. A lot of the parents in the story are dead, oddly enough, not just the main protagonist, and every single character has some sort of loss, whether it's a parent, a significant other, someone that is close to you in the family, and all of them do deal with things very different. Very interesting to see how all of these characters evolve as the story progresses, but also that is the theme of Memento Mori. That is what it means to learn to live, and to learn that you will die at some point. Remember that there are consequences to actions and consequences to just living life. Every one of the characters, whether it's Yukari, whose father dies a long time ago, and she has this grudge against Mitsuru and her family because it is tied into the story, or whether it's Shinjiro and what happens to him, Akihiko and the storyline that he has. All of them has different themes of loss and death, and all of them cope with the aspect of death in very different ways. Some of them more aggressive, like Yukari, some of them more nihilistic with Mitsuru. There are different characters that learn a lot of big lessons as the story progresses, and you can really see every character being shaped by the death of someone, whether it's again, somebody that they died, or some loss that happened a long time ago before the game even begins. And you can really see them evolve as characters, and evolve as you learn from them. You yourself are the main protagonist, who starts at the very beginning not being a very emotional character. You really start evolving more. You can see the connection between different characters do affect the main protagonist, do affect the story, and that really does tie into what it means to live, what it means to die, and what remembering that you will die. But that is not the only tie-in to the story with with all the social links, with all the characters that you meet. There are a lot of different side characters that you meet that also have the theme of death. There is a couple, for example, that you meet them whose son died a very long time ago, and they are coping with the death of their son, and you help them. You go. That's really how the social link starts, and you get to know them. You get to know this cute little couple that have a cute bookstore in the city. All of these different social link characters are very interesting, because you are seeing them from outsider's perspective. You don't know their life, you don't know what they're going through, but throughout meeting them, through our talking to them, to spending time with them, they are able to cope and are able to learn more about their son, able to learn more about you. You learn more about them, and with that, you are doing Memento Mori. You are remembering death, but not in a sad tone, but in a tone of this is something that happens and something that I can move forward from and something that I can take in and learn something from. And that is what Memento Mori is. That is how it ties into the main story of the game, how every character has some sort of law, some sort of way that every character has to deal with. And as it progresses through the story, the game gets darker, more things happens, more people die in the game, and the game really is beating you that people die. But not only does it tie into characters, but also ties into the personas. For example, the protagonist gets one persona particularly that is very much tied into death, and that is Thanatos. Thanatos is one of the characters, the son of Nyx, who is the representation of death itself. Thanatos also being tied to death and the theme of death, and it really just ties into how he's shaped in the beginning of the game, how it evolves over time. There's a lot of different connections of the theme of death and again Greek philosophy, and I really like how all of the characters, not only just the characters themselves with their persona, the storylines tie into their real life storyline as well as the persona storyline. I really loved how they were able to do so many stuff with this dynamic. Every persona interaction is very interesting. The different personas do different things that I think in the long run builds more than just a storyline that as a team. It really kind of feels like whole packet put together, and it's just not, oh, somebody died, but is that evolution of the person dies but also learning and growing from that. And I really love that. I think it's an excellent team. I think it does such a good job. The music also ties so well. Burn My Dread, the theme at the beginning of the game, really just kind of wraps it all together. I feel like this is one of the best pieces of Persona 3 that I really love. Something that for a long time I've really been thinking about thinking of making this video, because I love this theme. I think they helped me so much as somebody was growing up dealing with the death of a loved one that I had a long time ago. I spoke about it in a different video, but this game really helped me come into terms of death, learn terms that people die, things happen. But before I end this video, I want to finish this with a particular quote from the game from Aegis. It says, "You don't have to save the world to find a meaning in life. Sometimes all you need is something simple, like someone to take care of." Thanks so much for watching this, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.